Hey guys, welcome back to the Mission Empowered podcast with me, your host Emily. Hope you are all having a wonderful day, and I really hope this episode is going to be quite impactful for you. So, this episode, as you can see by the title, is going to be all about the skinny pen, skinny jab, Ozempic, all of this that's going around, and that more than likely you have heard of, or somebody that's on it or been on it. And yes, I've had lots of requests to do a podcast on this. So here it is. Before we get into this, I just want to do a bit of a disclaimer, guys. Like, this is all my own research and also own opinion. I think the thing with the skinny, I'm going to say like the skinny pen just for now, and we'll go into it a bit more in detail in a second. It hasn't been around long enough for us to know the ins and outs of it. And obviously, I'm not a doctor. I am a health coach. I have been in this industry a long time, and I do a lot of research. So this episode, it's like, it's my opinion. If you please don't listen to this episode and then go on the skinny pen, or think that you've got all the facts on it. You do need to do your own research on it. There we go. That's a little disclaimer done. Right, let's get into it. So I've got my notes because I've definitely written down stuff that I need to remember and just want to refer back to. So I've said at the beginning, skinny pen, skinny jab, whatever you want to call it, which is what it was, sort of the street name. More and more people are using its proper term now, which is a GLP-1. Okay, so this stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, which is a naturally occurring hormone in our body. And what these skinny pens do, they are just a more potent mimicking a more potent mimicking substance that's being injected. So that's what it is. So it's mimicking a hormone that's already in our body, but to a more potent level. So it has these extreme effects. Okay, so GLP-1, and then you have got the manufacturing names. So these are the names like Ozempic, Mounjaro. I'm sure there's others, and there are definitely going to be more manufacturers of this coming out. Like, if you look into the research of how popular it is and how rapidly these manufacturers are making money over it, there are going to be pharmaceutical companies that get onto this and think, we want a piece of that pie. So there is going to be a lot more, in my prediction, different like makes of it coming out. Okay, so yeah, GLP-1 though is like the bigger term of what these products mimic. Okay, they all are doing a very similar job of mimicking that GLP-1 hormone. So the reason I wanted to do this podcast, like I said, is it's not going anywhere. And this is something I've had talks with other coaches, other friends who work in like the health and wellness industry, who are very against it. And like, my opinion is it's not going anywhere. And if you look at what this drug was originally used for, it can actually be life-saving. And this is like my opinion, not necessarily my argument, because we'll talk about who should and shouldn't use it. But if you look at what it has been around for in the past, it has, it's had profound effects on people with type 2 diabetes, like life-saving drug. People with type 2 diabetes, extremely obese people who are then looking at shortened lifespan because they're carrying so much weight. This people with cardiovascular disease or potential high risk of cardiovascular disease because they're overweight or because they have type 2 diabetes, they've been prescribed this drug from a medical professional, and it has had really positive effects. The problem that is happening now is people are using it to drop a dress size. People who don't have an unhealthy BMI are using it to look a certain way. It's becoming fashionable rather than functional. And this is my problem with it, is that you, in my opinion, shouldn't be taking it to get in shape for a wedding, for a holiday, for an occasion. Yeah. If you are severely overweight and you are morbidly obese, then I don't actually see a problem with taking it alongside doing the healthy behavior changes that, for example, I do with my clients in coaching. So yeah, that's my, why I want to do this podcast. We're going to talk about, like, I've covered what it is. I will talk about what GLP-1 does in more detail in a second, but we've covered what skinny jab does. Is it mimics a hormone in our body, Let's cover that now then. So it mimics a hormone in our body, our GLP-1 hormone. And what this hormone is responsible for is, one, managing our glucose levels, our blood sugar levels. It also slows gastric emptying. So that feeling of fullness stays around longer when we have this GLP-1 jab. And it also promotes feeling of fullness, which I've just said. So it slows gastric emptying and promotes feeling of fullness, okay? This is what the hormone naturally does in our body. When you have a meal, your GLP-1 hormone increases around your body. So it promotes that feeling of fullness off a meal. Okay. Now, if you think I don't know the percentage of how potent it is or how much it is increased from what we actually naturally have in our body. But if you think look at what the majority of people take GLP-1 for, is so they don't eat, so they don't feel hungry. Okay. So obviously there's going to be a significant increase of how much is going around our body of that GLP-1 for it to have that effect on us. But that's what your GLP-1 hormone does. And when should I talk about that? There are things, I'll talk about that maybe before behavior change. There are things that we can do to naturally increase our GLP-1 hormone without taking the skinny jab pen, okay? But that's why people are taking the GLP-1 hormone as an injection, is to feel full, feel fuller for longer. They don't really think about food that much because they've got this feeling of fullness. And when they do eat, their stomach is slower at processing that food through the body, so that it stays in their body and stays in their stomach longer. Okay, so they have that feeling of fullness for longer. That's how GLP-1 works. It doesn't, increase your metabolism or anything like this. And I think this is the problem, is that when people are taking it for like a fashion thing, rather than a functional thing, is that they're not doing the research into what is actually happening, and they don't know. They're just like, oh, it works, I'm losing weight, So yeah, that's what it actually does. It promotes feeling of fullness for a long time. Now, obviously, we're going to get into side effects in a minute, but yeah, just to go over that summary again, I'm not doing this podcast to say I'm for or against, sort of. I'm doing it as like a open your eyes of, let's talk about the side effects. Let's talk about the diet if you are taking it, what diet you should be having. Let's talk about behavior changes, and let's talk about what happens when you come off the pen, or you come off the jab. So I've said my opinion on people who should be taking it, severely obese. It's affecting your quality of life. It's affecting your health. I don't see a problem, because it's not like a black market thing. It's been proved on the NHS to improve the people's lives with type 2 diabetes, improve people's metabolic health from an obese point of view. My opinion is that the fashion accessory that it's becoming is quite worrying, okay? Because I feel like when people do things for this fashion accessory, they're not looking at the long-term health implications, which brings me nicely onto the side effects. So side effects are quite commonly noted with taking GLP-1. Sickness is a big one. Diarrhea, stomach cramping, like severe stomach cramping, headaches, malnutrition, we'll come to that in a second when we talk about diet, and extreme fatigue. Now, if you think about this logically, if you're taking something that suppresses your appetite, keeps you fuller, you're not going to be eating hot, you're eating very minimal amounts of food. Well, of course, your energy is going to be affected by this. You're going to feel tired, you're going to feel lethargic, shall I say. I also know that a side effect is struggle sleeping. Some people are struggling sleeping with it, and getting off to sleep, staying asleep, waking up in the night. I know that's a side effect. So these side effects are common in, with this drug, whether you're taking it from a functional point of view or whether you're taking it from a fashionable point of view. These are the side effects that they're saying with the drugs like Lisa you're going to get. These are more than likely what you're going to experience. Now, I think what we have to look at is, if you are going to choose to take this, to go down the GLP-1 route, if you are morbidly obese or you have got type 2 diabetes, the side effects probably outweigh how you're feeling now. Yeah, you can probably deal with them side effects because it's going to improve your quality of life. It's going to improve your health. The problem that we've got is, if you're taking GLP-1 to drop a dress size, is sickness, diarrhea, cramping, fatigue, malnutrition. Them side effects are not going to outweigh your quality of life now. And then I'll talk about this a little bit later, but then we have to look at the long-term health implications. We don't know what the long-term health implications are. This drug hasn't been around long enough to know. But, and I'm not being a hypocrite of what I've just said, but what we do know is they can improve life quality. They can improve lifespan for people that these drugs are made for. So therefore, the payoff of, we're not 100% sure of the long-term health implications, but we do know that what it's doing for them is actually really good. So it might be worth it. What the problem we've got is the long-term health implications for healthy people who are taking it. We don't know. And is it worth it? Okay. So I know from a personal point of view, a handful of people that have taken GLP-1. I know that one was prescribed from the NHS, and she was severely overweight, severely obese, and she had these side effects caused her so they were so extreme that she was probably, I would say, maybe about 10 stone overweight. Let me just do a quick kilogram check on that. 22 kilograms. Is that, no, that's not right. That's so not right, by the way, guys. 10, I've got a calculator. Who does calculator, by the way, on a podcast, you know? Wait there. Right. Okay, 63 kilograms. I didn't think 22 was like severe. 63 kilograms, about 10 stone overweight, okay? And even for her being prescribed this drug and trying to be on it, the side effects were so extreme that she came off it. It just wasn't worth it for me, you know? So yeah, the side effects can be quite extreme. I also know personally that I have got people I know that are taking it from a fashion point of view to drop that dress size, and they're suffering with the side effects of it as well. So yeah, I know that the side effects are quite common. So these are all things to be aware of if you decide to take this pen. Now we have to look at diet, because although it promotes feeling of fullness, you are actually still going to need to eat. Okay, we don't just eat from a physiological point of view of feelings of hunger. We eat because we know we should have breakfast, we should have lunch, we should have dinner. You know, from a psychological point of view, we eat as well. So what do you need to be eating if you are going to take the GLP-1 drug? So what you choose to eat is going to be really important, because like I said before, the GLP-1 drug, it doesn't know, okay, let's just lose loads of body fat. You're going to lose weight. And as I've said on plenty of podcasts before, scale weight and fat weight is very different, okay? Weight is what we weigh: bones, skin, vital organs, muscle, body fat, yeah? All of that contributes to our weight, okay? Which is why I don't just zone in on weight when it comes to getting fat loss results. And when the GLP-1, how it's working is obviously it's making you feel full. You're not eating as much. Your calorie intake is very, very low. So if you're in this extreme calorie deficit, your body isn't just going to say, let's lose body fat, okay? You're going to break down muscle mass, which is why what you do eat when you eat becomes very important, and you need to be focusing on getting your protein in, okay? Protein, again, it goes further than just being lean and having muscle. Protein is really important for our vital organs. Our vital organs are muscle tissue, okay? They are still going through that breakdown and repair process, okay? Our body is constantly evolving, changing, breaking down, repairing, and that is why having protein in our diet is also important from a health point of view, not just a physical point of view. Is that the right words I was trying to think of? Like an aesthetic point of view. Sorry, there we go. From a health point of view and an aesthetic point of view. So if you are choosing to go on this GLP-1 and your calorie intake is very, very restricted, you still want to be making sure that you have a higher protein diet, that you are going for things like your Greek yogurt, your lean meats, your fishes, you know. You still want to be getting in ideally some micronutrients as well, such as your fruits and your veggies, maybe smoothies, stuff like that, okay? You are going to feel very full very quickly, and you're not going to probably feel like, oh, I really fancy that, because obviously if this GLP-1 is mimicking feelings of fullness, you're not going to have that psychological response of, oh, I'm hungry, I want to eat that, okay? So you have to be very clever and very organized that actually what you eat is going to be healthy for you, and you're not just like, oh, I'm not hungry, but I know I should eat, so I might just have some chips because that's all I'm having all day, because that is also going to make you feel terrible. Side effects that I didn't talk about or that can maybe relate to it is like your body. So fats, when we look at macronutrients, we have our proteins, our carbohydrates, and our fats. Fats are the slowest digestion macronutrients. Okay, they sit in your tummy longer. I know from, again, this is an experience point of view, that friends that are taking the GLP-1 drug, when they have taken, they've had like a fatty food, that they're cramping and the side effects has been a lot worse. Now, this would make sense that if actually this GLP-1 drug is reducing our gastric emptying and that fat is sitting in that tummy for a longer period of time, not only is the GLP-1 drug stopping your gastric emptying, but we know that fats take longer to digest anyway. That's probably going to promote a bigger side effect of like cramping, diarrhea, and stuff like that. Again, not scientifically proven, but logically, it would make sense why that happens. So I think that from a fashion point of view, of people who are like, oh, well, I'm not eating that much, so I can basically eat shit because I'm only having that. Again, not the right attitude to have if you're going to be taking this drug, okay? You want to still make sure that you are eating healthy. And we're going to come on to behavior change in a second. Okay, so again, your enjoyment of food is probably not going to be very high. I've just touched on this. If you're not getting that hunger signal in your tummy, physiologically and psychologically, you're probably not going to be that bothered by food. So again, making more effort and not just thinking, oh, I'm just going to have a piece of toast because I'm not that hungry, but I know I need to eat. Like, you want to be thinking it from a health standpoint as well, that actually I know I should be eating a chicken salad, even though it's a bit small. I know I'm going to get the goodness in. I know I'm going to get the protein in. You have to be a little bit more savvy about that. And then obviously, we're going to talk about supplements now, because if we are having a very extreme low calorie diet, we probably do need to be supplementing, because again, if you're losing all of them vitamins and minerals that you will be having on a normal diet, this again is just going to increase some side effects of feeling lethargic, feeling a little bit like shit. Actually, I know, again, from another experience, it's really hard to not use names when I talk about experience, but another friend that took it, I think she took a Manjaro. She was on it for about 6 weeks last year, hated it. She took it for aesthetic reasons. And she basically said that she lost so much like food enjoyment that she was just like, it just really affected her psychologically. And also she was into training, going to the gym, and she just said she had no energy. And she said it wasn't like a no energy from not eating, it was like a no energy from like being deficient in the vitamins and minerals that she was getting through. So anyway, she come off it. So yeah, these are all things that we need to like just remember are a side effect and that can affect us. And I think with the drugs, we do need to remember that they're not a quick fix. They are made for people with type 2 diabetes to be on long term. They are made for people severely obese and like morbidly obese to be on long term. If we compare that to why a lot of people are taking it short term, want to lose a stone, want to get fit from a bikini, okay? So we're using it in the wrong context, and but like I said, it's not going anywhere, so we might as well try and help if you are going to take it. Is just remembering, like, the payoff. Is it worth it? Okay, so supplements then. Supplements that are recommended, and again, if you are going to take the drug, please don't take this as my advice. This is my research of what I've done. Please go and research yourself. But B12, vitamin D, iron, electrolytes, a green supplement. So all of these things that I'm talking about are responsible for basically energy, and for these supplements are these supplements are what we normally find in your fruits, your vegetables, your iron rich foods, your lean meats, stuff that you're probably not going to be having a lot of. So then you are going to miss out on these vital supplements as well that are going to be responsible for making you feel fit and healthy. Okay, it is worrying that the world we live in, a lot of people would sacrifice being fit and healthy for being thin, and that has been the case for years and years, and it's still very much the case now. I know that a lot of more people are chasing the fit and healthy and strong. I haven't really touched on that, but I will talk about that now. That strong look, But yeah, it's still very prominent. When I started looking into this as well, like, you know, podcasts on it and celebrities, people that people look up to, who are now being open and honest about taking it. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but more people are being open and honest about taking GLP-1, which is fine because they're saying how they got this weight loss, but at the same time, I feel like it's making it more, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Accessible. Like, people are feeling like, oh, well, they take it, so it's okay, you know? Yeah. So anyway, supplements. If you do need to be taking some supplements, otherwise, again, you're not just looking at a deficiency in supplements. You're going to start to feel unhealthy, is what I would say. So we've covered diet, we've covered supplements. Before we go into behavior change, then, and what I would recommend is, again, just being aware. I think I mentioned this just before, actually. GLP-1 doesn't know that you want to lose a stone of fat around your middle, okay? You are going to shed weight, and unless you are doing the things, and if you're chasing a toned body, okay, and you don't just want to look a bit like skinny and deflated balloon with like saggy skin and stuff, then the things that we do when we're not taking the drug to promote that look, you should still be doing if you are taking the drug. Weight training, high protein diet, okay? You are not going to build muscle on GLP-1 because you're in a massive calorie deficit and your body needs calories to build muscle. And also, you are not going to build muscle if you are not weight training with intent and not having a high protein diet. So if you think about what I've just covered there, one of the side effects, feeling fatigue, feeling tired. If you're feeling fatigue and feeling tired, how are you going to put effort into training and getting that sculpted look, you know? So these are all just things to think about, okay? And also, if anyone is listening to this and you're not interested in going on the GLP-1 drug and you just wanted to listen for information, great. I think the more people that know about it, the better. But this is where my opinion comes into it, of like, I think a lot of people are going to probably go on the drug and then come off it because they're going to realize that aesthetic that they were chasing maybe isn't achievable on this drug, because I know now it's very, I'm going to say, like, fashionable for us women to be strong and to be sculpted and, you know, to have that definition and that defined look. It's very hard to get that if you're in an extreme calorie deficit and not doing hard workouts and all the other stuff that we talk about on the podcasts. Okay. Right, so behavior change. Why is this important on the GLP-1? Well, I'm hoping it goes without saying is that if you don't change your behavior and you come off the drug, where do you think you're going to end up long term? You're going to end up back at square one, right? So if you are going to take this drug, I would absolutely recommend that you start to look at your behaviors around food and around exercise. Now, this might be a positive of the drug, is that if you are someone who feels, you know, you have like a lot of like food noise, like you wake up, you think about food. I'm going to say use the word addictive, but I'm going to use it really loosely. Like, because people say to me, like, I feel like I'm addicted to chocolate. I feel like I'm addicted to sugar. Like, you're on that sugar train all the time, you know, and you can't see a way out and you choose to take the drug. It could be a good opportunity for you to then think, well, actually, now I haven't got that like food noise and I'm not constantly thinking about food. I don't have that hunger, that want for food. It could be a good opportunity for you to then start to structure a high protein breakfast, a high protein lunch, high protein meals with the good stuff in, because you're not having that sugar train that you feel like you're constantly on. But if you don't do that, as I said, and you just go back to, well, I'm going to have, I don't know why Milky Way came into head, but I'm going to have a Milky Way and a hot chocolate because that's all I might eat today, so I might as well eat it. And then you come off the drug, like, you are not going to help yourself in the slightest. So behavior change is massive. That if you are going to take the drug, I would recommend that you start looking at your behavior around food and diet and nutrition to help you, because eventually you are going to have to come off the drug and you want to have the good behaviors in place. So just on the side of that then, before we go into exercise, one thing that I do want to bring up is that if you are an emotional eater, because we do know that food, we don't just use it, as I said, as a psychological thing. We don't only eat when we're hungry, okay? We eat to be social, which again is another side effect, is that you not really want to go out and spend money on food that you're not going to eat. We use it to, have food to be social. We also use it from a psychological, not just a physiological point of view, is that sometimes we eat when we're sad. Sometimes we look forward to the end of the day and having a cup of tea and some chocolate digestive biscuits because that's our time. And this is just a thought. It's not, no studies or anything like that. I wonder about the side effects of people who use food as a coping mechanism. Where does that, if they're stressed, if they're sad, if they have a bad relationship, food, like where does taking this drug take them? Does it take them to a positive? Does it take them to a negative? I don't know. Like, does it take them to a different outlet? That's just a thought for me. And again, worrying that people can get this drug now so easily and accessible that people aren't asking, that they're not delving into these questions, whereas I think these questions need to be delved into, that if you use food as a coping mechanism and whatever that looks like, what happens when you suddenly take this drug and you don't have that coping mechanism anymore? That's just a thought of mine. Okay, so exercise then. Hopefully, if you are taking this and you're thinking, no, I am going to do it and I'm going to do it the right way and I'm going to do behavior change and I want to exercise, I would recommend that you weight train over resistance train over cardio. Okay, if we think about what we use cardio for, we cardio is normally getting your heart rate up, getting a bit of a sweat on. If you're on minimal calories, that is going to burn you out probably quite quickly, and not leave you feeling very good. Okay, whereas weight training, we know that we can do it at a slower pace. We also know that if we're doing this the right way, that if we're having an extreme calorie deficit, the likelihood of us losing muscle mass is quite high, because, like I said, your body doesn't just think, oh, let's just get rid of fat. It will get rid of fat. It will get rid of muscle. So if you are doing the protein in your diet and also weight training, you're going to minimize the damage. I don't know if that's quite an intense word. Or you're going to, you're going to be doing a better job than not doing it, okay? You're going to be holding on. You're going to be doing what you can to hold on to that lean muscle mass if you're weight training with a protein diet while you're taking this drug, compared to not having a high protein diet and going to a spin class, okay? So yeah, resistance training, because again, we don't want to be losing muscle mass as women. Long-term effect of coming off the drug, we know as women over the age of, I think it's like 25 to 30, we rapidly start to lose muscle mass. It's harder for us to build. It's harder for us to keep hold of. We have to work hard at it. And then we go on this bloody pen, which makes everything, speed up. So we're losing more muscle mass. And then you come off the pen and we've got no muscle mass. Therefore, we're weaker. God knows, I don't know, postural, do we change? Risk of injuries, all of this stuff. Okay, so resistance training, if you are going to take the drug, is definitely something that I would recommend that you start implementing as part of a behavior change. Okay, and just making sure that you're recovering properly, because again, we look at food for a recovery when we are training, and if you're not having that urge to eat or that want to eat, it's going to be very, very difficult, which circles me back to the diet, where I said making sure we're planning for that high protein diet. Okay, I can't read my own writing. Bear with me. What does that say? Oh, no, it does. Yeah, talked about that one. Coping mechanism. Okay, so last little bit then we're going to cover is coming off, and then I'm going to do a little summary. So, coming off the drug, like any other drug, when you stop taking it, it'll wear off. Okay, and again, we don't know if it does any long-lasting damage. We don't know that. But let's say it doesn't. The worst thing that's going to happen is that if you come off the drug, it's going to stop working. Your appetite's going to come back. And if you haven't worked on behavior changes and you just go back to what you were doing before the drug, you're going to put all the weight back on. And is it worth it? No. We don't want to be taking drugs long term if we don't have to. Some people don't have that choice and they do have to be on lifelong medication. Again, from a physique point of view, if you're just taking it to like lose that stone, to lose that 2 stone, whatever, you have to think about, well, if I'm doing this now and I'm putting my body at risk of these side effects, then at least put a bit of effort in to change your behavior. So when you come off the drug, you're going to be in a better position than when you went on it. Okay. The likelihood is, I was literally having a conversation today with one of my friends about it. I think you need to mentally prepare yourself to put on at least a bit of weight. Okay. these drugs, I mean, I don't know, what are people eating? Maybe 500, 800 calories, minimal, okay? It's not sustainable for life. It's not. And as soon as you come off it, you're probably going to eat more. Therefore, you're going to put a bit of weight on. So I think just prepare yourself that say you lose 3 stone on the drug, okay? Maybe you come off the drug and just be prepared to put like a stone back on. At least you're not 3 stone heavier. Yeah, that you're not back to square one. But I think it's being okay with that when you do start eating a normal diet again, and maybe you start socializing again and going out for meals, like that's okay because that balance is there. I know people who are on this drug where they can't drink alcohol, they can't eat meals out because the richness of the food plays havoc. Because if you think about when we eat out, high calories, high fats, very rich food, it's wreaking havoc with the side effects. So all of that goes in the bin why they're taking this drug. But you don't, do you? Well, not you don't. Do you want to live a life where you don't socialize and ever enjoy a meal out again? It's a question to be asked. So yeah, when you stop taking the drug can stop work out. You will more than likely regain weight if you don't sort your behavior change out. And we don't know the long-term health effects. It just hasn't been around long enough. People haven't used it long enough to know. Okay, which again I find quite worrying. But yes, so I hope that was helpful. I think what I'm going to just summarize is like, it's not going anywhere. And if you are a person listening to this, because if you are a person listening to this and that you aren't happy in your body and you're trying to diet and you're trying to exercise and you're like, oh, it's not working, it's so hard. I get it and I feel you and I empathize with you. And it can be very tempting to see someone that maybe you work with or someone maybe you know who's lost 2 stone in the last 3 months and you're like, fuck this, I'm going to do it. Okay. Now, I'm never going to say to someone, don't go on it then. It's everyone's own prerogative. And I think as a coach, I'm definitely I think I'm definitely going to come up in the future with clients who want to do the behavior change, which is exactly what I do as a coach, but say to me, I'm taking this drug. Yeah. Like I said, one of my friends is taking it and I've helped her with her behavior change and what she should eat, because people are going to do what they're going to do. And I think if this drug isn't going anywhere, I'm definitely not going to stick my head in the sand and be like, no, it's bad, don't take it, because people are going to take it anyway. So I think if people can be informed of the good, of the bad, and then make their own decision, but that's what they're going to do. But I can totally empathize that if you are a person in that situation and you're seeing people and you're thinking, oh, this is the easy route, just remember this, right? It's not the easy route, because behavior change, if you want to keep them results, still plays a massive part. Okay. That big red question mark over, is this gonna compromise my long-term health? Is that question mark worth carrying with you? Let's say you did go on it and you went on it for a year, but then this flu's come out and 10 years down the line, people are having really bad side effects from taking it 10 years ago. Is that worth it? Is that possibility worth it? Because it is a possibility. There is, of course, a possibility that this is just a life-changing drug and it doesn't have long-term health implications. But the bottom line is we don't know that. And that is what you've got to weigh up, that risk versus the reward. And for me personally, I'm postpartum. I'm not where I want to be. I'm, a stone and a half heavier of fat from having a baby 4 months ago. But for me, the question mark of, is it going to implicate my health? Is it worth the side effects? Is it worth food enjoyment? It's just a no for me. It just isn't. I know that I can lose fat and get into shape with behavior change, with being consistent, and do it that way. And I'm okay with putting that hard work in and watching everyone around me take the skinny pen and lose weight quick. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I'm at peace that I don't want to know if it's going to implicate my health, and I don't want the side effects, so that's fine. But yeah, I just want you to know that, like, if you are, and I know this because one of my clients asked me, one of my clients has lost 3 stone and it's taken her a year and a half. No, just under a year and a half. Just under a year and a half to lose 3 stone. And she's done it with diet and she's done it with exercise. She worked with someone who has been on the skinny pen for 6 months, maybe less, and has lost 3 stone. And she was like, I just feel fucking fuming. I feel robbed. And I get it. And I get it so much. But at the end of the day, you're not robbed, because even if she looks great, again, like I said, from an aesthetic point of view, she will be probably experiencing side effects. She will have that disenjoyment of food. She won't be thriving from a health perspective because her calories will be so low. Like, we know that. Okay. And also, she's going to have to put work in somewhere along the line to maintain that result. So yeah, this is what I mean. I just know it's not going anywhere. So hopefully this podcast is either, I don't know, just made you feel a bit better if you don't want to take it, but you want to know the ins and outs of it. Maybe it's made you think, actually, I do want to take it, and now I've got the behavior change to do it. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me, because normally I'm quite opinionated, and I'm just not on this. I just think it's not going anywhere. I'd rather give people the facts, the information, and then a little bit of my opinion. And also for people who are listening and thinking, I've put all this work in, da 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 da. Like, I hear ya, but life's not fair. And sometimes there are, people who will get to places that you want to be before you do. And I'm in that position as well. But there's always, always positives and negatives to situations. And that's what you've got to remember. Okay. So hope it helped. Please do let me know, because this is quite an informative one. Please do let me know if it did help. And if you have got any questions, like I said, I'm not an expert in this field. I've just done a little bit of research and want to help on it. But if you do have any questions, you can always ask me, and I will do my best to find the answer. And maybe I'll do a part 2. Who knows? All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I will speak to you soon. Love you. Bye.